Hey everyone, Justin here. This isn't exactly a follow-up on my rant against Governor Ishihara, but I just sort of wanted to really talk about censorship as a whole by sharing this article I found published by Marvel Comics in the spring of 1949. And as some of you know, during the 1950s, some German psychiatrist was attacking the comic book industry, saying it was harmful for kids, and he also published this book called Seduction of the Innocent. And this book almost put the comic book industry out of business, and it's the reason why we have the Comics Authority Code in America. And of course, in the late 1990s and the 2000s, you had Joseph Lieberman, John McCain, and of course Jack Thompson attacking video games. And recently there have been talks about laws about the restriction of selling video games to minors and all that stuff. And of course, as I said in a couple previous videos ago, about the the new law in Tokyo. And I recently came across this article that addresses the censorship issue of comic books in the late 1940s. And like I said, this article that I'm about to read to you was published back in the spring of, published back in March and April of 1949. And this is not just before that I was even born, of course, but this was way before. This is just like a couple years before even my own parents were born. So it's after reading this article and after you listen to me read it, you'll be kind of amazed of how far back censorship goes, and how certain mediums were being attacked, just like how the new mediums of today are being attacked now by crazy crusaders such as Jack Thompson and Governor Ishihara. And let me read this to you and see how how we can all relate to this at some point in applying it to what our generation likes to enjoy, or what we found as new forms of entertainment. So let me read the article by Marvel Comics from the late 1940s. Hi friends, it has been reliably reported that in England, back in the 18th century, bookstores were called slop shops of literature, simply because they sold novels. And that was the century in which some of our greatest classics were written, the century of Defoe, who wrote Robinson Crusoe and Swift and his Gulliver's Travels. It was also the century of Dr. Samuel Johnson, one of the brightest stars in the history of English literature. And it was Dr. Johnson who most, I can't pronounce this word, and it's strange that I'm an English teacher. Maybe it's because it's an old word, but going back. Most defended the right of booksellers to sell the new, much-abused novels, and the right of authors to express themselves in this medium if they desired. But what Dr. Johnson defended most enthusiastically was the right of the public to read what they wanted to read. And what we are defending is the right of youngsters to read whichever they like of the many, many good, clean comics currently being published. Just as the critics of the 18th century wrapped the books which are now classics, in the same way there are critics of today screaming and tearing out their hair because a new kind of magazine still in its infancy is not to their liking. And as in the case of the novel, it is still too early for any man to pass judgment on the comics. Let these critics of today look to their history. Let them decide if they want to be remembered as the 20th century counterpart of the people who called Robinson Crusoe slop. And let the people of America decide if they want to be swayed by critics exercising premature judgment, or if they want to wait and watch and soon realize their most comic magazines are really good, clean, healthful, and entertaining reading matter. So, yes, this is pretty much what this article states about, not just going against censorship, but, freedom of speech and, other First Amendment issues that mostly applies to, of course, really Americans. So it's just, after reading this, and with a person of my age, and with this generation of technological advances such as video games and whatnot, it's very surprising to me that in some kind of form censorship has always existed in some capacity. And until I read this article, I wasn't aware that Robinson Crusoe and Gulliver's Travels were considered pieces of crap. I mean, it's just very, very amazing to me to read something like this, and that something that I enjoy, such as video games that have always been attacked. The same thing has just happened just generations ago. So it's just something that's just, like I said before, just it just amazes me, and it's just been an educational and inspirational experience for me to see that this has been going on for so long. And I just like to know, where did it really start, and how do we stop this? I mean, of course we want to encourage, of course, healthy reading and healthy entertainment, but I think at the same time we need to know what's right for ourselves, and we have to be responsible for the choices that we make, and just really taking into account that in the end we are accountable for whatever actions we choose to make, and not whatever we choose to pursue to as our own personal leisure of entertainment. So yeah, I mean, yes, in Japan there's comics about bizarre forms of sexual material, but I mean, does that make a person... Okay, maybe they're perverted, but will that make that certain individual some sort of deranged criminal? As far as I'm concerned, like I said in my video, my rant of Ishihara, I mean, compared to what he wrote, I mean, I've never seen anyone emulate the actions of those mangas used in real life. Maybe they have happened and they haven't been reported yet. Who knows? But, I mean, is the comic to blame? No. I mean, also look at the last portrayal of the Batman movie, The Dark Knight. I mean, that's almost as realistic as a Batman movie as you can get. I mean, to suggest that people are likely to emulate what you see in, let's say, Doom killing demons, I mean, don't you think it's more realistically possible that there's someone to emulate what the Heath Ledger Joker did? I mean, like, I consider his performance realistic, but I have yet to see copycats or hear of any stories about that. So, yeah, I'm like, if no one's going to copy what Heath Ledger did as a Joker in real life, then sure as hell nobody's going to copy what you see in, let's say, Doom or Metal Gear Solid, or let alone Dragon Ball Z or La Blue Girl. So, all I can say to these people who are, you know, crusaders for our well-being and want to limit our freedom of speech, you know, take care of yourselves first, and you know, let us make the choice of what we want to read or what we want to watch or what we want to listen to. And in the end, we are responsible for what we make. And you know, I'm not asking people like Jack Thompson to say, look at what's best for me or my friends or my family or my children if I ever have them. In the end, I will be responsible for what I do outside of what I enjoy to do. And when I have children, I will be responsible for how they will conduct themselves. And as I can say, that's pretty much how my parents raised me. I came from a very, very libertarian background, and my parents always valued, you know, individual liberty, but at the same time, they really taught me the value of being responsible. And of course, I'm not trying to force my judgment on you. I'm just sharing it. Oh, sorry for the aim. Yeah, I'm just saying, hey, you're free to do whatever you want with your life. I mean, like, I believe in the pursuit of happiness and the right to liberty and the right to life, but of course that shouldn't mean you should be going out, you know, raping innocent girls or killing innocent people or anything like that, or committing robberies. I mean, we have laws and all that stuff, and for our protection and to pursue, you know, our way of life in an equal and fair manner. So let's just have what we have now, and stop the hate and stop the freedom, the censorship and everything, and